Hi, I'm Breadboard and welcome to my first devlog. While the A-Sprite footage is rolling, let me briefly introduce you to the project and my channel overall. I'm a beginner game developer and a pixel artist. My goal with this channel is to document the learning aspect of the development, hopefully growing to become proficient with both game dev and pixel art. When first watching content about game dev, I saw that a lot of it is just showcasing something that is already done or just a straight up tutorial. I would like to do something different than that. I don't want to just provide solutions, but to provide relatable content for those of you who, just like me, are getting started in game development or just simply interested in it. I want to show my genuine experience, so I want to showcase not only accomplishments but also the failures, the challenges that I ran into, and the process of learning my way out of them. I hope that seeing others struggle or try to figure out a way to make something work would be encouraging to people who are in the same boat. As for my previous experience, I've done some coding and game development tutorials or courses in the past, but I'm in no way an experienced developer, since it's always been just a hobby for me. As for my experience with Unity, I started a basic shoot-'em-up game just to learn the basics. You can see the footage of that on my channel. And for the art experience, it's primarily coming from painting Warhammer 40k miniatures. While I might be familiar with some basics of game development, you will see that I will be out of my comfort zone really quickly with this project, and it's exactly what I'm looking forward to. Also, I hope that documenting and sharing what I learned will help me retain that knowledge. I also created a Discord server that will be linked in the description of this video for those of you who are also getting started with game development and would like a place to hang out and share your experience with others. In today's video, I will cover drawing a tile set, exporting it into Unity, making sure it renders correctly in-game, and setting it up as a tile map. From there, I will move on to colliders and how to avoid player getting stuck in between tiles, as well as basic movement script for both keyboard and a controller, which is easily done using Unity input system. Moving on to the actual video, you can see a tile set that I was recently drawing for the game. I went with 32 by 32 tile size, since it seems to be the sweet spot for me. With 16 by 16 there are fewer pixels, so it may seem easier. However, for me personally, it was a bit daunting since each pixel there carries more weight. Using 32 by 32 I can include more details, plus it has 4 times the amount of pixels. Small mistakes might not be so noticeable. I will probably regret this decision when the time comes to animate the sprites, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Being a Warhammer 40k fan, I wanted the setting for the game to be grimdark, but of course, especially in the beginning, it will be difficult for me to pull it off, so I'm fine with the idea of having to redo it later once I improve. I enjoy making pixel art, so even if some of it will get scrapped, it's fine. I started by drawing a platform and a wall tile, but as you can see I struggled a bit to decide on the perspective. After trying different approaches on how the floor should connect to the wall, and after playing some Metal Slug for inspiration, I decided to lean into the angled perspective instead of playing front facing. This may prove more difficult, but it will be good practice and it will also allow me to draw doors and gates more easily. After I made the decision regarding perspective, I had to adjust the wall tile by extending it deeper to match the horizontal tiles, since I wanted the floor tile to be exactly 1 tile tall with the player and enemies placed in the middle of the tile's height. Once the wall was extended, it was just a matter of drawing the floor tiles in a way that would be easily repeatable, so there wouldn't be problems with joining it with edge tiles. I also added some chevrons on the edges for visual clarity. I wasn't going to finish the tileset yet, I left out some weathering and so on for later, since first I wanted to put it into Unity to see how it will look in the game with the 640x360 resolution. This is the resolution I picked, since based on what I was able to find out online, it scales perfectly to all modern displays. With sufficient tiles, you can just export them from A-Sprite or the pixel art software you're using and import it into Unity. While Unity is meant to be able to seamlessly import A-Sprite files, it was giving me some problems when trying to edit them in the editor, so I extract them as PNG. To import it into Unity, you can just drag and drop it into the project tab in your Unity editor. Once it's imported, you select the file and in the inspector you select Open Sprite Editor. From there you have to select Slice and change the type to Grid by Cell Size. You have to enter the size of a single tile as pixel size, then click on Slice and then Apply in the top right corner of the window. Back in the editor, you need to right click in the hierarchy, then go to 2D Object, Tilemap, Rectangular or whichever is applicable for your project. At the top of the screen, you select Window, 2D, Tile Palette, then you drag and drop the tiles into the window. It will ask you to select a folder where you want to save the new tile palette. Now with the tile map selected in the hierarchy, you can use the tile palette to draw the tileset onto the scene. As you can see, it's not behaving as you might expect. There are a few settings that need adjusting. With the tileset selected, In the inspector, you need to change pixels per unit to fit the scale of your tileset based on the size of your tiles. So if your tiles are 32 by 32 pixels, you enter 32. This will be your default scale for the project, so even if down the line you will throw sprites that are bigger than 32 by 32, for example a character being 2 tiles tall, so 64 by 32, you still want to use 32 to keep it in scale, otherwise your pixels will end up in different sizes. You also will want to change 2 other settings. First, you need to change the filter mode to point no filter, as otherwise your pixel art will be blurry, and also switch off compression, since otherwise some pixels may display in different colors than you drew them with. Once this is done, you should be able to just apply the settings, and once the Unity refreshes, you should be able to see your pixel art being rendered correctly on the screen. Now that the tilemap is ready to be drawn, we will need to set up colliders, otherwise if you add a player character it will fall right through it. You can see that I already have a placeholder character on the screen. It's pretty much just a box with a rigid body 2D and a box collider 2D attached to it, just as a visual aid. In your hierarchy, you need to select the tilemap, and at the bottom of the inspector you will see Add Component button. You will need to add a tilemap collider 2D. It will automatically generate the collider based on your tile set. Keep in mind that if you have tiles that are slopes or pretty much anything other than a square, you may have to edit the physics shape. I can go into more detail on this in the next video, so let me know in the comments if it's something that you would be interested in. In my case, I want the character to stand in the middle of the tile, so I would offset the collider by half a tile down, so by minus 0.5 on the y-axis. Once this is done, you can see that the character lands in the middle of the tile. You can see the physics outline of each tile as a separate box, which will lead to an issue very soon, but it's best if I just show you by implementing movement first. For setting up the movement, I'm using Unity input system. You can find the config file in the main folder of your project. When you open it, an editor window will pop up. Here you can reassign keybinds as well as add new actions. Then you need to create a new script. You can simply right click in your project and create a new mono behavior script and open it with the editor of your choosing. Since this is not a coding tutorial, I will just briefly go over what is happening on the screen. You need to make sure you have imported the input system on the top of the script. Then declare an action you will be referencing as well as the rigid body attached to the player. In start method, you will need to assign these variables. In update, I'm reading the value of the move action and passing it into a new function that will apply velocity to the player based on the input. I also created a serialized field which will allow to modify the value directly in the Unity editor. Once this is done, you save the script and in Unity you attach it to your player object. Then you can hit play and you should be able to move your player left and right. You can adjust the speed by changing the serialized value in the inspector on the script command. As for the issue I mentioned earlier, the player character would sometimes get stuck where the tiles connect. To avoid this, you need to add another component to your tilemap, Composite Collider 2D. Then in your tilemap collider, you change the composite operation to merge. Composite Collider also adds a rigid body to your tilemap, so you will need to change its body to static, otherwise it will be affected by gravity and just fall off the screen. This would be it for this video, so thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like me to elaborate on. In the next video I want to pick up the pace a bit and hopefully have more interesting things to show. As mentioned at the beginning, please consider joining the Discord server if you'd like to join in on the journey. So see you in the next one.